Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be at this year's React.js Conf. My name is Helena Milosevic, and before I tell you more about demystifying tech recruiting, who here likes free t-shirts? Show of hands. Everyone does. As one of our engineers here at Facebook said the other day, never underestimate the power of a t-shirt as currency in the tech industry. So given the choice between swag, free t-shirts, or anything else free, and money, I would most likely go with the swag. And I know a lot of people that would too. I know it's completely rational, but it's true. My story does start with swag, with not actually React shirt, but React hoodie. So last year at React.js Conf, I was there as an attendee. I actually wasn't supposed to say that I'm a recruiter to anyone, and I wasn't recruiting anyone. I saw a couple of people wearing really nice React hoodie, just like the model in this photo. So I went to Viju, and I said, I have to have my hands on this hoodie. And he broke my heart. He said, I'm so sorry, they were ordered only for speakers and for people who contributed to the conference. So I have a limited number. Unless someone doesn't show up for their talk, and it's your size, I really can't help you. So fast forward, when the call for papers this year opened up, and what did I do? I submitted my talk. So I'm a front-end recruiter at Facebook, and I work really closely with Viju and Tomo. And I submitted my talk, but I'm a recruiter talking about the recruiting process, but I'm not there to recruit anyone, and this is a tech conference. I thought the odds of me getting a slot are 0. But the organizers of the conf looked through the talk and thought that the message that I'm about to convey is a really important one, so I got a slot. And I am not here for the hoodie, but it was my inspiration to do this talk. What I'm really here for is to tell you more about the recruiting process and why it might seem like a black box, it's really not. After being a recruiter here at Facebook for a little bit over 2 years, but in recruiting for about 5, I always reach out to engineers, and some engineers tend to tell me, I don't feel like getting on the phone because I have really bad experiences with the recruiting process, or I don't want to be a candidate. I don't know what to expect. So I'm here to tell you more about how process looks like at Facebook, and why should you get in contact with a recruiter if you're just remotely interested in the company that's reaching out. And the process at major technology companies might slightly differ, but there are going to be some basic steps in there that I'm going to go through. So my intention here is not to recruit you, but I do get all the time people asking me, what is the recruiting process about? How does it look like from my side? It might seem like a black box, or it might look confusing. There is a lot of moving wheels in the recruiting process. Now, many people, when I talk to them that know someone who's working at a technology company already or went through the process, when you're looking at it from outside, you say, you know, they were lucky, they came in early. It's always some kind of excuse. A lot of people think it's serendipity. The process really doesn't happen like this. It's not serendipity, but rather a lot of work on our part and a little bit on yours as well. Now, regardless if you're looking for a new gig or not, we need to be able to find you. And you need to put your ideas somewhere. Not only recruiters, but your colleagues as well. And the most important question that you need to ask yourself is, are you passionate about your work? I know all of you here are passionate about React. That's why at the conference. But generally speaking, if you're passionate about your work, it should be somewhere. You want to collaborate. Most people do this, talk about stuff that's going on in their life, hobbies most of the time. If you're lucky enough to have a job like I do that I love, you're going to talk about that, your projects there. But your friend is getting married, you're going to music conference, Coachella, you want to tell people about it, you want to share that. So even if you don't want to be found, there might be an awesome opportunity out there just waiting for you, and it might be a perfect fit, but we don't know that you exist. So if you have a great idea or just want to share it and discuss it with other people, you just don't sit around in your parents' basement contemplating on the idea. Rather, you share it. So your passion naturally spins a conversation. So technology all of you are building has given us so many different ways to share and connect. These conversations that we have outside of social media are present all the time. And once you move it to the online space, you're going to get followers and you're going to get recruiters. So you need to put yourself out there, not just to be recruited, but just to share your ideas. So what are some places where I usually hang out when I do a lot of research and follow engineers? Here are a few. So open source, I'm sure all of you know what open source is, but for those of you that don't, obviously GitHub, Bitbucket, Stack Overflow, it's basically sharing your ideas, not only your ideas, but your code too. I know a lot of you are following React repositories on GitHub. It's really popular. Usually when I talk to people that are interested in Facebook, I do refer to open source as a really good source of information. If you don't want to push code, you don't have to, but you can actually learn a lot in the open source just by looking at other people's code. Social media, Twitter, I love it, Facebook. Quora is also a really good one that you can share a lot of stuff that you're interested in. I see people tweeting all the time about what's going on in the tech industries. Published work that I skipped for a second. Published work used to be really tied to academia. So if you did PhD, if you did bachelor's, if you did some research at your master's program, you would be publishing academic work. Now, these days, you can publish anywhere on the internet. You don't need to have that approval from your university. So your work can be published anywhere and can be seen by anyone. I see a lot of people that are not in open source social media and are not publishing a lot of stuff, but they do come at conferences. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but I also see some people that I don't know. So there's obviously conferences like this, meetups. We, as a team, front-end team at Facebook, we do a lot of happy hours and tech talks. It's always a good idea to go to those for the company that you're interested in, or just that you think that the company is working on some interesting project that you want to share ideas with. Because it's really, really good opportunity to meet engineers outside of, if you don't want to go through the interviewing process. You can go there and just chat with them live. You can also do that in the open source. But you need to be somewhere. You have to be somewhere. Common denominator here is just sharing your passion, being really curious, and just building new technologies. If you love your project, it's going to be shown somewhere online. If I manage to find you somewhere here or other avenues where I search, you're going to be getting an email from me with referring to some of your work. And if you have any online, otherwise I'm going to take a chance and just reach out, trying to get to talk to you more about what you're working on. What's your background? What's your passion? This is how the process is going to look like. So when you come back to me and say, yes, I want to talk to you, for a few minutes, that's going to be a recruiter screen. So a few things to remember with the recruiter screen. It's completely informative. So you and me are going to get on the phone. I'm going to tell you more about the process. I'm going to tell you more about the projects that my team has. I'm going to tell you, more about the work-life balance, anything that you're interested in, timeline, anything like that. And you're going to tell me more about your passion. You're going to tell me what you've been doing. Have you been doing stuff that you're passionate about? Or maybe you ended up working on some project that you're not so passionate about, and you're looking for something else. So one really important thing to mention here at the recruiter screen, at that stage, you're not a candidate yet. So I do get people all the time replying to me saying, I don't really want to get into the process. And you're not in the process when you do a recruiter screen. It's basically just informative. A recruiter is going to tell you more. They're going to want to find out more about you, and that's it. And then both of you mutually are going to decide, is it a good time to move forward in the process? Now, if you and your recruiter decide that you want to move forward, your recruiter, if you're applying for front-end engineering position at Facebook, is going to have some technical questions. Now, I have a degree in international relations, so I'm not super technical, but I've been doing this for a while. When I personally sit down to write some code, all of a sudden everything gets blurry, and I can't even C#. But I do know the difference between double equals and triple equals in JavaScript. Now, if you and me decide that you want to move forward, you're going to become a candidate. And the first step is going to be technical screen. Technical screen at Facebook, it's 45 minutes. And it's basically what it is, technical screen. So and one of the engineers, front-end engineers, is going to screen you. They're going to try to get a good idea of your fit for good, so sorry. They're going to try to get a good feel for your skills, right? And they're going to look at the ability to move forward with an on-site interview. So usually 45 minutes, you're going to be most likely doing code through a collaborative document. 1 to 3 questions, just assessing the ability to pass the on-site interview. And then that engineer is going to submit feedback and let us know if he or she is supportive to move forward in the process. During the technical screen, your recruiter beforehand is going to give you some prep material. So do go through that prep material. Sometimes I have people, moving fast and saying, "Oh, I'm going to, just do the technical screen. Schedule me tomorrow." It's always good to look through the prep screen because recruiter has really a lot of resources to offer for you to go successfully through the process. Candidates will have a few minutes to ask questions at the end. As I said, if your engineer that you had technical screen with and the hiring manager and me decide to move forward with the on-site interview, you're going to be coming on-site. So on-site interview is going to be a little bit more than the technical screen. Obviously, you're going to be coming on-site. I'm going to host you at Facebook. You're going to get to see Facebook inside. And you're going to be meeting with 4 different engineers, front-end engineers, if you're applying for the front-end engineering role. Also, lunch. One thing to really think about at the on-site interview, it's a two-way street. Most of the engineers are interviewing at other places, so this is your opportunity to find out more about what really matters to you. Is that work-life balance? Is it a specific project? Is it anything else? How does commute look like? So you can ask a lot of questions during on-site, especially during lunch. We know interviews are really, really stressful. Some of you might say, it's easy for us to say because we're on the other side, but we know how stressful it is. One main difference between the technical screen and an on-site interview as well is that a lot of the code is going to be done on the on-site interview on the whiteboard. So we don't, you guys don't normally just code on the whiteboard, especially code on the whiteboard with someone in the room. So we do know that it's stressful, and I ask people to prepare all the time for this. Awesome engineers sometimes go through the process, but we really don't have a lot of data to show that they're that awesome because they haven't prepared. Why are we using a whiteboard? We're using Whiteboard. I can speak to the front-end engineering process specifically, but Facebook in general, because we want to see that you're able to build from scratch. A lot of Facebook front-end engineers and other engineers are using a lot of libraries and frameworks, but they do build from scratch. And we get much more signal when we're able to see you work on the whiteboard. So that's one of the reasons. So do practice. Now, after the on-site interview, all of the engineers are going to be submitting feedback privately. Once all the feedback is in, me and the hiring manager are going to be putting together an interviewer debrief. What is an interviewer debrief? Interviewer debrief is all of the interviewers throughout your process sitting in one room and talking about the feedback, right? Why do we do this? We do this because I have all the time engineers that come in and say, fly in earlier, 2 days earlier. They're really relaxed. They come in. Their first interview is coding. And I meet them for lunch, and they say, I don't think the first interview went that well. They're stressed. But then the second coding interview goes really well. And at the interview debrief, we sit down in a room, and the feedback does balance out. So that's why we do interview debrief. Also, we do, as a team, make a decision if we're moving forward with an offer for the front-end team specifically. Now, when we do that, there's another step in the process, which is candidate review. What is candidate review? So at some companies, interview or debrief and candidate review goes together. For us at Facebook, candidate review is an objective view of all the feedback that we have gathered on the candidate with other engineers from the company that are not involved in the initial interviewing process. So just an objective view on our proposal for an offer. We're going to be there with the hiring manager, and I would also be there in the candidate review. When we get that final stamp, we're going to decide if we're going to move with an offer or not. So a few things to remember here. As you can see, it's really not rocket science. It's really straightforward. Recruiter is going to be present throughout each process. So do make a bond with your recruiter. They're representing you through the whole process. They're the first 3 steps. It's going to be a lot where you're going to be able to actually influence the first 3 steps because you're going to be there, right? You're going to be talking to the recruiter, technical screen and on-site interview. So knowing that that part is the one that you can influence, everything after that is basically reviewing that information. And also at the candidate review, what information are we reviewing? It might be your resume, it's going to be the interviewer feedback, it's going to be any references that you gave us. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. As I said, some companies might have slightly more complex steps, but it's basically going to be this. As I conclude my talk, here are a few takeaways. Connect. As you can see, the most important step is for you to connect and be discoverable. Everything else I can help you with, but only if I can find you somewhere. So we do naturally this outside of social media and when we want people to find us, but if you want to discuss with your colleagues, to be findable, you need to be somewhere, so do connect. I also just realized that we have an alignment issue here. So I'm so sorry to people that are into CSS. I'm switching. I know you're not comfortable right now with the slides, so I'm switching. Prepare. Interviewing is a skill. I can tell you one thing that I see this over and over again. I recruit mostly for professional engineers, but I have interns blowing the interviews out of the water every year. Why? Because they prepare. They do this throughout the season, and they prepare. They sit in front of the whiteboard, and they do this over and over again, and they do perform really well. I have a lot of professional engineers that I know are awesome, and there's a lot of stuff they've been doing outside of the interviewing process, but through the interviews, they don't do that well, and I don't have anything to show that they're that good. So don't try. Commit to the process, preparing for it, and you can thank me later. Also, you have this information now. Let's say you go through the process. Some of you make it, some of you don't. You're going to have the information and experience. Learn from the process. So regardless of the outcome, learn. Because having that experience, if you want to revisit, if you want to apply again, or maybe that's going to tell you that you don't want to be at a big technology company. You want to be at a smaller startup, or vice versa. But it's good to have that information and experience. I'm going to leave you with my last slide here. Up on the screen is a famous Italian cartoon, Mr. Line. For those of you that don't know, it was created by Osvaldo Cavandoli. What the line does, it goes through the cartoon, and then it turns to its cartoonist for help as it comes to obstacles. So your recruiter is going to draw your path, and they're going to give you all the necessary information to come through the process successfully. So do use it. Do partner with your recruiter. Also, my ultimate goal is never for you to say yes to my offer. Is for you to have really good experience going through the process, and for me to give you as much information as I can for you to make a good decision if this is for you or not. And then if it is, there's nothing more than I want to go down Facebook and see people that I've hired telling me that that's the best decision that they made in their life. So feel limitless, feel excited. You're very creative. You're doing awesome projects, and just think about the possibilities. Thank you.